Summer routines live or die by how easy they are, and honestly, if something takes too much effort, I'm out. That's why Groons is my go-to. It's my one daily pack of gummies covering my greens, vitamins, and minerals. Plus, it has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, which is more than 2 cups of broccoli. No mixing powders, no giant pills, no hassle. I just rip open the pack and I'm done. They taste good and they make it easy to stay on top of my health, even when life gets busy. Save up to 52% with the code PODCAST at Groons.co. That's code PODCAST at GRUNS.co.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's Employee of the Month, 2 months in a row. Leave a message at the... Hi, Jamie. It's me, Jamie. I just had a new idea for our song about the Name Your Price tool. So when it's like, tell us what you want to pay, hey, 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 and the trombone goes, blah, 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 and you say, we'll help you find coverage options to fit your budget. Then we just all do finger snaps while a choir goes, savings coming at ya, savings coming at ya. Yes? No? Maybe? Anyway, see your practice tonight. I got new lyrics for the rap break.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. McLane Company has a career for you. McLane driver teammates have guts, grit, and a go-getter attitude, and they're looking for more of it. McLane offers an average first-year pay of $55,000 to $65,000 a year, health benefits on day one, and an industry-leading 401k plan. And experienced drivers may receive up to a $10,000 sign-on bonus. To learn more, visit driveforbrooklyn.center.com. That's driveforbrooklyn.center.com. McLane Company is an equal opportunity employer.
I just encountered a species in its natural environment. Michael Russo in a Starbucks.
You definitely caught me in my natural environment. Although you'd think that I've gotten so many Starbucks in my life, I would know that, again, you don't put the gum over the little air hole there, but I did.
You did. Does the cup function?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
It needs the air. That's why there's a little hole there.
Right. So why did you do that?
I always forget.
You'd be a great car mechanic.
Yeah. So this is the third straight podcast that we've done at the home studio here that has been Double Star Day. What are the chances?
Well,
because it only happens once a month. I think it happened twice in November, though.
I think I've always thought you arranged it so you could be at a Starbucks near my apartment building during Double Stars.
Well, that is true. That is absolutely. Basically, we revolve. Anytime I get the email that it's Double Star Days, we just say, "Hey, today's the day that I want to do a podcast."
You have a rich life.
Yes,
that's what I'm trying to say.
You know what bothered me is that when we walked in there, and you're like, I want to get a what do you call a medium again?
He's actually quoting me accurately because we're at Starbucks and I blanked. Because I know.
Did you see my reaction?
Yes.
I was so disgusted.
We need another defibrillator for you.
Yeah. I mean, how do you not know what a freaking star? I mean, it should be part of your lexicon. Like, well, you know how like people get upset, like, you know, that it's soda and not Coke, but
it's pop actually.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's soda, but I've been here 27
like, you know, when you go to a
years.
Restaurant, and you're like, can I get a Coke? Even though that they might not have Coke products, but you just say it. That's kind of like, how do you not know it's a grande?
See, here's the deal. First of all, when I can, usually, first of all, I live in a building where they supply coffee. So I get my own coffee. I don't ever have to ask somebody for my coffee. I drink my own coffee, right? B, when I do decide to go to a coffee shop, I usually go to a locally owned, lovely little place, mom and pop, support the local economy instead of the gargantuan company that won't advertise with our podcast, even though you give them free advertising all the time.
That is true.
So it's been a long time since I've actually, and when I do go to a Starbucks, it's usually because my wife wants tea, and I'll get something other than a normal black coffee since all I ever drink is normal. So the last time I ordered an actual coffee in a Starbucks is a long time ago. And I blanked. And part of it was I blanked because I was with you and I felt this incredible pressure to get it right.
Yeah, and you got it wrong.
I did, Michael. I squeezed the stick too hard.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good analogy.
Yes.
You know what my issue is? Like when you go to a place that's not Starbucks and you accidentally, like you forget and you're like, can I get a grande coffee or something?
Oh, they give you the business.
And they're like, What's a grande?
Like I've never been to a Starbucks.
Like the snooty barista at the X coffee shop has never heard of what a grande is. Has never stepped foot in a Starbucks.
Never.
Yeah.
But one thing about Starbucks, we've been the original Starbucks. It started off as a mom and pop.
Yeah,
that was
I'm
the
gonna
cool
be going
thing
there
about
a lot soon when Seattle has an
Oh
expansion
man,
team.
Seattle should have all the teams. I just like going to Seattle. I love going to Seattle. One of the funniest things I ever saw, I can't remember who it was, some player, or maybe, I don't know who it was. Dick Bramer's walking down the street in Seattle, and somebody with a traveling party, I think it was a player, just kind of is going the other way and looks at him and goes, "Hey, Dick, are there any coffee shops around here?" And Dick stopped and started pointing, and the guy said, "Gotcha." Because, of course, Seattle, there's a coffee shop every 3 feet or something, and Dick was going to try to help him find a coffee shop. This is the Russo-Souhan Show. He's Michael Russo. I'm Jim Souhan. This is part of our podcast network, MNSPN.com, the Minnesota Sports Podcast Network. You find all the shows there, including the newish one I'm doing with Ryan Shaver. We had Lindsay Whalen on as this week's guest. That show will be out here soon. We've done Cheryl Reeve and Jordan Taylor, people like that. We'll have Paul Molitor on that show coming up here soon. If you'd like to advertise with the network, reach out to me at jsouhan@startribune.com. Thanks to our current sponsors, twillmn.com, fixologyrepair.com, Todd Moritz of Sandvold Financial Group, Crown Bank, crown-bank.com. I will tell you more about all those companies later. We appreciate their support. So, Danny Heatley.
Yeah, I ran into him. So,
I like the heater.
Yeah. Oh, man, there was a few cooler dudes to just cover than Danny.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like one of those guys that you could always shoot the breeze with, always cracked a joke, just the way he talked. I mean, frankly, the the All-Star on Twitter and on YouTube, I mean, he's got his persona pretty pegged. I mean, the way he talks and things like that. And so we're at Mastro's in Newport Beach the other day because we only go to the high-end steak houses on the road. And we're sitting there at this big table, and all of a sudden this waitress comes over with 7 shots of Fireball, which I mistakenly thought it was Jameson at first. And when I took it, all of a sudden I took the shot, and I'm like, whoa.
Yes.
It was like cinnamon gum.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, the woman, she goes, "This is courtesy of Dan Heatley." And I'm like, what? And I look to the right, and a table over there is Danny Heatley taking the Wild Trainers out to dinner when we were in Newport Beach. And so there were probably 8 of us at dinner, and he got us each a shot. And then all of a sudden, he stands up in the middle of the restaurant. He goes, "Do you drink that, Russo?" Like that. And then he came over.
Was it a grande?
Yeah, it was a grande shot. And he came over and said hello. And I knew that he was living down there. And he looks great. I mean, he looks like he could play right now. Looks young. Looks like he could. He said he's been playing tennis a lot as a baby. Another one on the way. And so. It was kind of cool to just see him again. And so my hope is next time we go out to California, he'll let me kind of sit down with him and do kind of, what happened to Danny Heatley's story or what's next in Danny Heatley's life. Because, I've said this to you so many times. I think it's sad the way that like great NHL players just can disappear off the planet.
Right.
They never kind of get that goodbye story. Right. And I know that Danny's had, his game took a turn there at the end, and he's obviously had the issues in his life and things like that. But it's like he just, it's like here's a guy that scored hundreds of goals in the National Hockey League, and then it's just like it ends. I mean, somebody that's scored 50 goals and 100 points in this league, and it's just gone. And that stuff ticks me off because it's scores and scores of players. Very few get the press conference to say goodbye, and so I hope I get to sit down with them.
I hope so. Yeah, I'd like to hear what's going on with him. I don't get to know these people the way you do, but I just liked him. He was a good presence in that locker room.
He and as he was leaving, part of the joke with Danny is he always knew what I tweeted because he was secretly on Twitter like all players. Mm-hmm. And so as he's leaving the restaurant, he goes, "Make sure you," and I forgot to do it. He goes, "Make sure you tweet that you ran into me, and I'll see it secretly on Twitter." So it was funny. He's I liked dealing with him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And he was again, I know that people have their own thoughts on Danny, but he was a pro here. I mean, he was great to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's pro on the ice. He didn't complain when he got demoted, and he was ready against Colorado when they called on him.
He had that kind of Eric Stahl persona about him in the locker room, where you just here's a guy that's been there, done that type thing. Stahl has that presence now with that Wild team. I mean, when he's in the locker room, it's just kind of like you're like, wow, there's some pretty stand-up guys on this team, and that's what you see when you talk to a Stahl after a win or a loss. Right.
Let's get to some current events in hockey with the Minnesota Wild. I do want to thank TwillMN.com. That's Twill, Scott Dayton shop in the Edina Galleria. I've told you about it before. Great place to shop during the winter. You can park close to the doors. You can get up there. Easy in, easy out. Very comfortable shop to shop in. I've bought stuff with my own money myself there, so I can vouch for them.
Hi, I'm Stacy Souhan. I love Twill, Scott Dayton shop in the Edina Galleria. Twill takes the stress out of shopping by offering updated traditional fashion. I know that if Jim goes in there shopping alone, I will like what he buys, whether it's pajamas, flannel shirts, or suits. I plan to recommend Twill to my daughter when she has to buy wedding party gifts and attire. Twill in the Edina Galleria will bring your fashion game to a championship level.
So what's going on with the team?
Well, just like we've always predicted, Jim, I almost called you Jay. I don't know where that came from.
Who's Jay?
I have no clue.
I'm jealous now.
I don't know who I thought I was talking to suddenly, but yeah, the just like we've always said, John, this team just doesn't lose in overtime. They're the best overtime team ever. Just like we've always talked about on this.
They were just biding their time to pounce the way they're pouncing right now.
Isn't it funny that it's like Bruce? It's like somebody needed to actually come and tell Bruce, "Hey, by the way, you guys suck in overtime." Really? We do? And then like all of a sudden, like they make these a couple adjustments, like not start overtime with Suter and Koivu. Yeah. Novel concept.
Duh.
And boom, they've won 5 straight past regulation since. Isn't that crazy? 2 in a shootout, 3 in overtime. It's not just personnel moves, starting with 2 defensemen or maybe using faster players throughout. They do seem to have a completely different tactical, I hate using football words, but scheme on the ice. The fact that they're willing to take themselves off sides to reset and have line changes and the key in overtime is not to lose the puck. And the Wild would sit there and they'd force something, lose the puck, transition, dead legs, goal. Now it's like if they're dead leg, they come out of the zone. And what happens when you do that is then the other team is either going to be very tired or they're going to take the risk to go for a line change, and then you could quickly counter. And so, they've played well. I mean, they could have won all 5 of these. They've gone 5-0, but they could have won all 5 in regulation, not even gone to the shootout.
What we talked about before is the fact that in the Western Conference, you have to try to figure out who are they going to beat out and hold off for a playoff spot. The fact that they played well for the last week or two, does that change the equation, or is it still just tough calculus?
I think it's a tough calculus, but they're winning. And here, I mean, this is the crazy thing about this team. I mean, I know there still feels like this unbelievable negativity in the market. Why is that? Because of the way they're winning these games. 1, past regulation, but 2, awful in the third periods of most of these games. Last night, not very good. They've been outscored 7-0 in third periods in the last, 4 games, essentially. And the 3 on the West Coast where they blew leads, but they're getting points. Now you look at it, and since November 9th, they have the most points in the National Hockey League. I mean, it's just crazy. So they've put themselves in a position where at least temporarily they're in a wild card spot, the top one, believe it or not. Now they're tied with Dallas, Chicago, Calgary, and you still think that Chicago, and Anaheim are those 2 teams that are going to get on a run. I'm not inspired too much by Calgary. They got some very talented players, but they're not very deep on the 3rd and 4th lines, and I still am not a Mike Smith guy. But Anaheim, if they get healthy, now they lost Corey Perry's week to week on the day they get Getzlaf back. Kessler's still out, so you do have to wonder if things just aren't going to happen for that team. But really, Dallas is right there. So they've put themselves in a spot. Now the big question is how serious is Dubnyk's injury? Even if it's not very serious, do the Wild risk even playing him before Christmas? And if you don't, that's 6 games without him. And again, I know that we've got this negativity toward Dubnyk right now, but he is 8-2-1 in his last 12 games. So the 12th being the no decision being obviously last night. So since November 9th, same thing. It's like, points wise, he's got, near the top in the league in points for goalies. His goals against and save percentage aren't the greatest because he's either incredible or he gives up 4.
I have another question about Dubnyk, a very pertinent question on this Wednesday as we're recording the show. I do want to thank John Hedges and Fixology Repair. Fixologyrepair.com, 3rd floor of the Mall of America, right across from Nordstrom's.
There are some things in life that you just can't live without. Now, whether it's a special piece of jewelry, a watch, or even your smartphone, you want it in working condition. At Fixology Repair, we are committed to restoring your pieces so that everything works or fits the way it ought to. Watch servicing, chain repair, and broken screen replacements are just a few of the services that we offer at Mall of America. Please visit us at fixologyrepair.com or at fixologymn on Twitter to learn more. Mention this ad and get a 10% discount on our services.
So is Doobie's injury serious? What are you hearing on this?
Well, I do think that he hurt his knee, I think. Well, the way it was explained to me is that on the Matt Tkachuk save, which was so good I even noted on Twitter, when he rolled back over onto his butt and Backlund picked up the rebound and kind of slid it through the crease, when he was recovering, his knees kind of got trapped under him and then kind of flared out and snapped right in front of him. And then he felt like, he either heard something or felt something in I think, his right knee, just the way he was kind of gingerly walking yesterday. Didn't look serious. I mean, he after the game, all the teammates were, next. They have a side room next to the locker room where they have kind of a buffet type food for them to kind of replenish their proteins after a game. And he was there in a suit, chatting up with teammates, and I kind of watched him walk a little bit, and it wasn't a noticeable, can't put weight on it. He had no help, he had no crutches, no walking boot, nothing. So, I don't think he thinks it's serious, but he got an MRI today, and hopefully tomorrow we'll find out. They have 6 games in 6 games in either 10 days or 11 days before the Christmas break. So the question is, even if it's not serious, do you even try to risk it with him? Or do you let Stalock go right now? And maybe what you do is let Stalock start the next kind of 5 games, and then maybe Doobie's back by the second of that one of those back-to-backs there before Christmas. We'll see. Michaelik's been playing pretty well in Iowa, and Svedberg's been okay down there as well. So I think that they'd feel comfortable starting one of those guys, but obviously it would be, an NHL debut for him.
How do you feel like Stalock has played this year?
He's played good.
I thought so.
Yeah. I don't blame him at all for the Winnipeg game. I can't blame him at all for the third period in San Jose, though he gave up 2. Most goalies would have given up 8. He's a battler, man, in net. He's loved in that locker room. Peter DeBoer, the coach of the San Jose Sharks the other day, talked about how he's never seen a backup as popular as was in the San Jose room, that it really, it bothered a lot of the guys on that San Jose team when he was traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they wound up getting Reimer back, and he wound up being a backup and really not needed in the playoffs, and the Sharks did make a run to the Stanley Cup final, but what I was really impressed is Stalock really proved to be a stand-up guy during my interview with him, where he talked about on and on about how he's the one that screwed up, and he tried everything to get his game back on track because he felt like this team had a chance to make an incredible run and was special, and he just was really blamed himself for never getting his game on track, and said that they had to make the trade, that they needed a quality backup, and he wasn't giving it to him, which says, I think, a lot about the type of person that Stalock is.
That brings up a really interesting aspect of the athlete media dynamic, in that, too often when media people will complain, this guy wasn't a stand-up guy, wasn't available, didn't talk, blew people off, blew off the questions. Listen, an athlete can get away with that, and the better athlete you are, the easier you can get away with that. But it's not all about the relationship with the media when you talk to the media. What you also are being given a chance to do is say the right things, handle things correctly for your franchise and for your teammates. And that's what I always said about, if Maurer didn't want to talk. Well, then he's causing everybody to go talk to somebody else who isn't a team leader and ask those questions of that person. If somebody screws up a game, doesn't come out and talk after, then again, you're going to be talking to different people, and you're going to be seen also by your teammates as somebody who doesn't want to handle that pressure, and which is part of the job.
I'll tell you, I mean, trying to think if this is one of those things I shouldn't say. I'll just say it generally. When I called out Kyle Quincy for the turnover he had in St. Louis, and for when I ripped him to shreds for not coming out and talking to the media, we got to Winnipeg, and I was lauded by a lot of the guys in the room.
See, and that's
a lot of guys came up to me.
That's what fans don't get.
Which also let me know that this is not a very respected player, which is when you really started to say they got to get this guy off.
And
the
so
team.
often when I've criticized people in the past, people have assumed that the entire franchise hated me for doing so. Usually, not always. Usually, I had already heard these bad things about that player from people in the organization. It led me to ask these questions or write this column. Usually when we rip on somebody, it's kind of a consensus.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's like what really bothered me about the Quincy thing is that here's a many-year veteran that didn't have the guts to come out and talk to us, and not even the guts, the old excuse. And I will say this: he apologized to me in Winnipeg. He came up to me and apologized. Now, I hammered him, and he was well aware of it and all that stuff. But anyway, regardless. But what bothered me the most was that this was only a couple games after Dumba had the big mess up. And what did Dumba do, the young defenseman? He came out and stood in front of the cameras and dealt with it and fell on the knife. And by the way, Dumba's the one, the analogy I always tell players when they're ticked at me. I had told Brent Burns this. I've told Ray Whitney this when they all get ticked off with something you write. The analogy I always tell them, not even the analogy, the example is I always said, sorry, if you turn the puck over for the game-losing goal, I have to write it.
Yep.
But if you score the game-winning goal in overtime, I will be there too to write that. Right. And just a perfect example with Dumba, because there does seem to be this fallacy out there that I just hate Dumba or something. But here it is. Dumba has the turnover, the big turnover that lost in the one game. I think it was against Winnipeg at home. And what happens? He has two big overtime wins against Anaheim and home against St. Louis. And who is there to write the accolades? Me. I mean, that's just the job. They got to take the good with the bad. And here's Dumba standing in front of the media in a toughest moment that he'd had, where he didn't play for 19 minutes in front of the entire XL Energy Center. And he stood there and took it. And I think it might have been Chris Stewart that said, just go out there, face the music, you're done with it.
Yep.
Do that, they're happy with you,
And so what every crisis manager will tell you, too, is turn every bad story into a one-day story.
Yeah.
And if you don't talk that day, then it's a 2 or 3 day story.
Exactly. And so and so that's the thing. And it's just about being accountable. And to get back to your original point, Stalock just impressed me there. And he also says, his story actually kind of really is emblematic to what Curtis Foster dealt with in San Jose, where Curtis broke his femur and the Sharks treated him like gold. And then the Wild, he came back here. He knew he had to have the major surgery. He knew that he was most likely not going to play the next season. And so what did Doug Risebrough do in a classy manner? He signed him to a 1-year deal, even though he knew that he wasn't going to play, to just give him the motivation to play. And remember, that was back when you couldn't just give him a 1-year deal at $650. They had to qualify him over 10% of his salary. So they gave him a free $1 million something to come and play. Even though he was he wound up playing the final maybe 8-9 games of the season, which is amazing that Curtis came back. But it was the motivation that Doug Risebrough gave him by giving him a contract to say, here's a carrot to strive for. Your career is not over. What did the San Jose Sharks do for Alex Stalock? Took a slice to the back of the leg playing in the minors. He's not a star goalie. He's in the last year of his deal. And what did they do when he never knew he was going to play again? They gave him a 1-year deal to just, hey, here, come back. And I think that Alex is really appreciative of that and is thankful that here he is still playing hockey in a large part because the Sharks didn't give up on him when he wasn't a top prospect or superstar at the time.
You've probably heard of Sandvold Financial Group, S-A-N-D, V as in Victory, O-L-D. We are working with Todd Moritz of Sandvold Financial Group, M-O-R-I-T-Z. He's sponsoring this show and my show with Ryan Shaver. Please check out Todd and Sandvold Financial Group if you need any financial services.
Plan for tomorrow today. It sounds easy, but for many people it's not. The good news is, planning for your financial future isn't something you have to do all by yourself. Visit SandvoldFinancialGroup.com to request more information and ask for the tax-efficient insight of Todd Moritz, CPA.
Registered representative of and independent of Questar Capital Corporation. Member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Questar Asset Management.
Why sign Ivan Ladnia?
Oh, wow. I'm impressed that you knew that guy's name.
You know, it's amazing the research I do for this show.
Yeah. Hey, can I throw an athletic thing out here?
Sure.
I just want to let you know. So because I'm in the holiday spirit or whatever. Just next week, pay attention. If you are a podcast listener that is not a subscriber to the podcast, next week I am going to dig into my wallet and I'm going to give away 10 gift subscriptions. I haven't figured out. I want to do it in a fair way to people that really either can't afford it or just, for some reason they follow me and listen to the podcast or whatever and just for some reason haven't subscribed because, I do want people to read. So next week, probably Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm going to figure out a way on Twitter to kind of give away 10 gift subscriptions. I haven't figured out the most, the fairest way to do it yet. So just kind of pay attention to my Twitter account next week. Ladnia, great question. So the other day, it's interesting. So they signed Ladnia the other day, and you could sign these draft picks at any time. He's having a good year in the OHL. He really showed well at development camp. He looks like a player. And then they signed him the other day. He's not turning pro. He's probably not turning pro for 2 years, but they signed him the other day. And so, right away, I knew why they signed him. His agent is Kaprizov's agent. So, the deal is that this changes nothing. Like, in other words, his contract today would be his contract in 2 years if the Wild signed him. Mm-hmm. But Dan Milstein, who the Wild really have never had a relationship with because they haven't really had any clients that I know of that it was with him, they started talking to him, just kind of Now, this is kind of delicate because technically Dan Milstein is not Kaprizov's agent yet. But it is known that Kaprizov, when he decides to come to North America, is going to sign a standard player agent contract with Milstein. So Milstein wants to, let's get Ladnia done. And so the Wild just said, hey, it's not going to change anything. Let's play nice with the guy, develop a relationship. So that's why they signed Ladnia. There is, trust me, no other reason. Which is kind of, sometimes you got to play that game. Yeah. So that's I think, the real reason why they did it, because there's really no other reason to do it now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Kind of interesting.
We're going to try to do a lot of Twitter questions today, catch up on some people we haven't heard from in a while. I do want to thank Crown Bank, crown-bank.com for sponsoring the podcast for so long. Locations Edina and Minneapolis.
Your banking relationship should match your lifestyle. And if your lifestyle is to live well, you want Crown Bank. You want a bank and a banker who will give you what you want and what you need without a hassle. Crown Bank is responsive. From ordering checks to making you a loan, they build a relationship with you that will help you get what you want so that you can live well. Crown Bank. It's a lifestyle choice and the place to do business. Member FDIC.
You know that you bring up Crown Bank makes me think of Tommy Dahl.
Yeah.
Tommy Dahl's buddy, Connor Beaupre. How about that story? Suited up for the Wild yesterday.
That's amazing.
Basically the way it works, and we've talked about this before, and it's happened before actually, is the Wild have 4 emergency goalies, and basically these guys come to games. They're kind of on call. They come, they sit in the press box. And they just watch the game. And if a goaltender either goes down before the game, during warm-ups, whatever, gets sick, doesn't matter which team, Wild or the visitor. If it was Mike Smith last night, Beaupre would have ran down there and suited up for them. And so Dubnyk got hurt last night, and Beaupre ran down. He was actually he either has season tickets or his family does or whatever. So they have tickets in the club level. So during the first intermission, he went down to go visit them, and that's when the Wild were like, "Where the hell is Beaupre?" Because he's got to sit in the press box, and they can't find him. So that's when all of a sudden everybody started calling him. And so he got one call, went down. He was already in the elevator. Then 3 or 4 other people called, Bomber and Brad Bombardier and Bob Mason and Shep Harder, all trying to get the guy. And he was already on his way to the locker room to suit up. Wore his dad, Don Beaupre's hand-me-down North Store pads, and again was at practice today before they call up their goalie here by in the next 50 minutes.
Awesome. Twitter question from Davis Bailey. With the Wild already rotating forwards and Parise progressing, is Cunnin in Iowa for the rest of the year? How's he doing down there?
Well, remember, I mean, there's probably going to be more injuries. I mean, just because they're healthy now doesn't mean they're healthy tomorrow. I mean, that's just the way it works. Look at what just happened to the Anaheim Ducks. It was this huge storyline. Finally, Perry and Getzlaf together when Getzlaf came back the other night, and boom, Perry goes down. I mean, that's just the way it works. So I can't let's put it this way. I mean, it's not like Eriksson Ek's playing out of his mind right now. I mean, Eriksson Ek is very likely going to see Iowa again, and when Eriksson Ek does, they might flip and put Cunnin up here. I mean, I don't think Cunnin's stuck in Iowa the rest of the year.
Right. From Aaron Berger, a longtime listener, will Parise do a conditioning stint in Iowa when he's ready to come back?
That's way too... I would think he would need to. If he does, I might see Des Moines for the first time in my life. I'll tell you that. I would need to see that myself.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, theoretically, I would think that'd be something they'd want to do.
Yeah, I just can't imagine him going straight.
But that
to
is
the
so
NHL
premature right now.
So he's still ways away?
I mean, he's progressing. I chatted via text the other day. I exchanged a bunch with him, and he's feeling great. And but I don't think he's getting too far ahead of the game. I mean, this is still some he's got some hurdles to still clear. Let's put it that way.
Chris Miller, why are our centermen...
I might just, next time I see Parise, ask him, hey, have you thought about doing a conditioning stint to Iowa just to see his reaction for fun?
Get a picture of that.
Have you ever been to Iowa, Zach?
He's been in North Dakota. That's kind of Iowa West. Why are our centermen getting kicked out of the faceoff so much? This is from Chris Miller.
They cheat. I mean, do you remember the last year when in the playoffs when the Wild in St. Louis got kicked out in the playoffs? I called a couple of linesmen anonymously, and I asked them, I said, what are Koivu and Stahl and Hansel doing wrong? And I can't remember exactly, but if you go back in my Star Tribune story in the archives, you could find it. I'm trying to remember the linesman that did the game that would give you a good way to search it. Yeah, how about this? I mean, I would go into StarTribune.com, go into search, type Michael Russo and Koivu and Hansel and Stahl and Cullen. And if you put those four names, it'll definitely come up, because in the story I asked the two or three linesmen that I talked to anonymously for the story who are the biggest cheaters in the league, and they basically said, well, Hansel, Vermette, Koivu, Stahl, Cullen. So it's like now the Wild have three of the top four, at least, three of several cheaters in these linesmen's eyes cheat, and they're now all in the same lineup. So there's a certain method to the madness when you get in there, a protocol, so to speak, that you're supposed to do, and the Wild are quote unquote cheating. And then, I've talked about it on the podcast before, so I don't think I'm hiding any state secrets. The linesmen aren't big fans of Mikko. Mm-hmm. Mikko snaps at him sometimes. I told you the story that was told to me by a linesman once when Mikko, I forget the exact way, but Mikko basically was snapping at him. The linesman goes, can I ask you a question? What's my name? And the linesman's like, and Mikko's like, what? He goes, what's my name? I've been in this league 15 years. What's my name? And Mikko didn't know it. Next game, he came over.
Hi, John.
And he goes, hey,
hey, John.
The name, yeah. So with a big smile, and they've been pals ever since. But it's kind of, Mikko's a fiery combatant out there. That's why I don't know if Boudreaux does this, but a lot of coaches will actually put the names of the referees and the linesmen on the board, because it's human nature. Mm-hmm. If a fan comes up to you at a Starbucks and says, hey, Jim, you're immediately going to, chat with him, right?
Sprint away as fast as possible.
Well, especially you.
Yeah.
Me, I might be a little affable.
Brandon, I'm less affable than Michael Russo.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So.
I need a life change. I need a life coach.
Yep. Plus, I'm liable to buy you a Starbucks, because if you
that's very true, because you need the points.
And if that person comes up to me and says, I know that it is a grande, boom, done.
Here, I don't need a stinking grande from Starbucks.
You get the tall.
I just don't order coffee at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Russo looked at me like, what? How do you survive? How do you get from minute to minute in your life?
I was just at Rudy Luther Toyota, and I had a free coffee there, but it didn't stop me from going to Starbucks.
That's because you're crazy. It's because you want to end up on a training table in the Coyotes locker room getting a defibrillator to your heart. That's why.
That's true.
Okay, I can top that, Cy. I can ask you a question from Russo Slacks. I knew I could top that, Cy. Who are your emergency game day backups? Pinky injuries happen. From Bruce Siski. Oh, by the way, I was when you were talking, I went into the Star Tribune website and I typed in Michael Russo, and it said no such name, and it referred me to Sarah McClellan. From Bruce Siski, is Boudreaux pissed Olofsson and Riley didn't take the ball and run with it after he talked about them not having to look over the shoulders when Quincy was waived?
I think that Siski's only asking this question because he's trying to spur me into remembering that I haven't texted him back. Be on his radio show tomorrow. Done. He doesn't even want to ask the question, so I'll just text him back and not even answer it.
How about that? No. From Robert LaPlante, who wore it better, Paul Deutsch or Connor Beaupre?
Yeah, Deutsch was the big one a couple years ago. I remember 53 years old and was out there.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
From Jake Walker, with the backup goalie situation the Wild had the other night, has the emergency reserve keeper ever actually had to play in an NHL game?
I can't think of anything. No, well, actually, technically, didn't a couple years ago the Carolina Hurricanes put their equipment manager in the net, but that was an intentional last minute, I think. So, but I can't think of that. I was talking to Mick Magoo at the elevator yesterday because also TJ Luxmore left the game because the referee, the young ref, number 21, because he got, who by the way should always be Don Van Massenhoven. They take Don Van Massenhoven's number and put it on some kid. Give me a break. It's like Kyle Raymond wears number 10. Like, sorry, that's Paul Dvorsky's number, dude. Okay. I'm a big referee fan. That's what what's unbelievable is that fans think I hate refs.
Drinking with refs.
I have been a huge I'm friends with these guys. I've been a huge fan of refs my entire life. I remember being a hockey fan as a kid and wanting to know, oh my God, is that Andy Van Hellemond? Oh my God, is that Ray Scampanello? I still remember as a kid always knowing who the umpires were. I've always loved it. But I am just kidding. I mean, it's okay that Kyle Raymond has Paul Dvorsky's number, I guess. But I asked Mick Magoo, the former referee who's retiring this year, by the way. He was the supervisor last night. So TJ took a puck to the face, left the game to get stitches. He did come back. But I said to him, in the one referee system, and again last night, what would have happened if Wes McCauley got hurt? And he said, simple. One of the linesmen would have would have taken the referee's role. So is that where did this start?
You lost me a long time ago. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, how did we start talking about refs? Was there a question?
Yeah, it was about people getting thrown out of the. Actually, I can't remember the question anymore. You talk for so long, I can't remember the question anymore. I really can't.
I was all flustered by your stupid Russo slacks.
Yeah, I knew that would throw you off, and that's why I did it. A couple more Twitter questions. Thanks to everybody who sponsors the podcast. Thanks to everybody who listens to the podcast. Again, if you'd like to advertise with us on this show or anywhere on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan@startribune.com. From Connor Mackey, what are the odds that they move Dumba to wing?
0.
From Austin Smedzrud.
Although he does look good in overtime.
He does. Austin Smedzrud, please explain how the Johnny Hockey goal is a goal. And
I mean, the rule is that the puck needs to be in continuous motion toward the goal line. The puck was always in continuous motion. It
kind of slid away from the goal at one point.
But again, somebody even pointed out on Twitter, a fan that I did agree with, is that toward the goal line doesn't necessarily mean forward motion. The goal line goes from left board to right board, right? That's the goal line. And so technically when he kind of slid it left, is he going still toward the goal line? Let's put it this way. If that goal was disallowed and it came off the stick of Mikhail Granlund, fans would have gone crazy. So,
absolutely.
I do agree that one. I thought the Patrick Kane one was a little ridiculous several years ago against Backstrom, I think it was. But this one, to me, it was a good move. He outweighted him, but it does seem a little sketchy that you could just hold on to the puck and just move a little bit and then just flip it over the goalie once he's out of position. There does seem... let's put it this way. I've got to think that this is one goal that will be brought up at the next GM's meetings. And as usual, nothing will happen.
Right. Another one from Austin. What defenseman's going back to Iowa?
I think Riley. I do. I think they're going to keep Murphy. That's just my guess. I do think they're trying to trade one of Riley or Olofsson right now too.
Interesting.
They need. Remember, they're at 50 contracts. They're going to want to get to 49 at some point. They're going to need to. probably get to 48 because if one assumes that they're going to sign Greenway, that's the 49th or the 51st contract. But if you want to put yourself in a position at the trade deadline and maybe add a player, you're going to probably need 2. So you could always dump. You could always figure out a way to get rid of a contract. That's why you always see. Who was it last year? The Wild picked up from. You always see these minor league moves at the deadline where the Wild acquire like some guy from the Boston Bruins for nothing, and everybody's like, "Who is this guy?" And I'm like, "You don't need a scouting report. He's just a body."
Right.
So the Wild can easily do that if they need to get rid of a contract. But I do think that they are trying to move Riley and Olofsson, and frankly. Chuck Fletcher admitted it. If you remember after the Winnipeg, or at least he said it. I don't know if admitted is the right verb there, but he after the Winnipeg game when the Wild got destroyed and Chuck had his kind of summation where he really ripped on the fourth line. In that, when he put Quincy on waivers and was explaining to that, he at least said, whether it's true or not, that judging from the way people call me on Olofsson and Riley, they're respected in the league, which makes me think that maybe they're trying to move him. I think Riley would be somebody that probably could get you something. I don't think a ton, but it could be a way to get maybe a mid-round pick. From
Kyle Yelly, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Does Schwartz' injury really hurt the Blues?
Oh, yeah, I think so. And Pietrangelo is out right now, although I don't think it's serious. But Schwartz, to me, other than Tarasenko, is their most dangerous player. I mean, who's the guy that just destroys the Wild more than Jaden Schwartz on that team? It used to be Alex Steen. Now it's definitely Schwartz. I mean, Schwartz is the guy that, in my eyes, turned that entire series around last year with the goal coming up the gut, between the circles that everybody, we all felt that Dudnik should have stopped it. But the guy is just a gamer. He's, I've for years thought that he was almost, Zach Parise-esque from a work ethic, but maybe even more skilled.
Wow. From Luke Reachins, what do you think about Stalock's aggressive style of playoff and going behind the net?
It's fun to watch. At times there's going to be boo-boos. We haven't seen a big boo-boo yet, but I think it changes everything. It makes teams really have to think about where they're going to dump the puck if they're going to try to get it deep against the Wild, because he's kind of, as the old cliche goes, a third defenseman back there. It allows your defensemen to maybe get hit less because they don't have to go out and get, you don't have to see Nate Prosser get splattered against the glass. It allows them to kind of peel off and accept passes that way. He makes it fun. There's no doubt about it. I've never seen a faster goalie. Yeah. It's crazy how quick he gets out, and there'll be half dump. Like the team will be on a full cycle, and there'll be a half dump from left wing board to right wing board, and he'll come out then.
Yeah,
it's crazy what he does sometimes back there. But it's fun.
Yeah. From John B, does Ennis have trade value to a team where he can fill a role that fits him, or is his contract going to inhibit him?
I think it is, especially having an extra year left on the deal is what kills him.
From Kevin, what is different about Mikko's game this year compared to last?
Looks slower to me. I mean, he does. He's no points in the last 8 games now, I think.
Wow.
Brandon, you have Google? I think 8 games. That's nuts.
That's wild.
So.
I know you don't have a final thought, but you can think of one anyway. Well, I thank Twill in the Edina Galleria, fixologyrepair.com, Todd Moritz, Moritz, of the Sandvold Financial Group, and Crown Bank, crown-bank.com. Also check out the McLane Trucking Holiday of Hope program. McLane Trucking, always looking for drivers.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. McLane Company has a career for you. McLane driver teammates have guts, grit, and a go-getter attitude, and they're looking for more of it. McLane offers an average first-year pay of $55,000 to $65,000 a year, health benefits on day one, and an industry-leading 401k plan. And experienced drivers may receive up to a $10,000 sign-on bonus. To learn more, visit driveforbrooklyn.center.com. That's driveforbrooklyn.center.com. McLane Company is an equal opportunity employer.
Final thought, Michael.
What final thought?
You don't have to have one.
What should I get my nephews for Hanukkah?
Cash.
My mother. Well,
always
it's
cash.
It's funny. My mother. I'm like, because I was going to creative kid stuff today, and my mother, I asked her that question. She's like, you got to ask Jamie, who's my brother's wife. And then she let me know, like, because I kind of like to get them books. And she kind of let me know that Ari and Liam didn't like their first day of Hanukkah presents when they opened it up, and it was like books. Like Ari's like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, enough books. I've read everything.
Shaver and I had this conversation on our show about gifts, and I'll save it for that show. But you can't go wrong with cash, man.
Yeah, they're 5 and 2.5.
Put it in college account.
I want to do. I'll do that later in life.
Okay.
I want to do something a little. Maybe should I get them an athletic subscription?
Oh,
I can. I dropped the F-bomb in a quote the other day. I don't think that would be good.
What greater thrill could a 5-year-old have than a subscription to the Athletic?
Exactly. I don't know.
Get him a subscription to the Star Tribune. It's got way more stuff in it.
Yeah, I should get something like, I wonder if they have like fake, like kind of like TV, radio type, like broadcasting type stuff, like where he could kind of pretend that way. Because I think
that's a pretty good idea.
He always likes watching like the broadcasters,
fake
on
broadcasting,
TV
like podcasting. You mean?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Maybe I can get him like a little producer's, what is that sound thing? Soundboard. Yeah, there you go.
It's a technical term. Board.
Do they sell those?
They do sell them. You probably don't want to pay the price, though.
Okay. What about like made of plastic?
It probably is made of plastic.
Is it? I think Brandon wants to go home.
I think, and so do I.
Yeah.
Pretty little city built on a hillside. Music in the bars and fire in the sky. We went to the beach and it was covered in ice. And I used to call it home. So much coming out, there's nothing going in. I know that you feel like you're never gonna win. Oh, but the world won't forgive a winner.
Blah, blah, blah.
Now is the chance to use reliable energy to grow your money with the Dominion Energy Reliability Investment. Our new investment product offers competitive returns, no maintenance fees, and flexible online access to your money. Make the reliable investment in reliable energy. The Dominion Energy Reliability Investment. To find out more, go online to reliabilityinvestment.com. That's reliabilityinvestment.com.
At Metro, the best deal in wireless is on. Switch to Metro and get 1 full Amazon Prime membership included every month. Plus, get 2 free phones from top brands like Samsung and LG with huge HD screens. All with 2 lines for just $90. That's the best deal in wireless, only at Metro. Plus sales tax and activation fee. Requires port-in of eligible number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. Limit 4 per account or household. Offer subject to change. Offer valid for new Amazon Prime members. Amazon Prime has a $12.99 per month value. Restrictions apply. See store for details and terms and conditions.